Ice. Spice. We're going back to space. Appreciate that my captions preview just translated that as spice, which I think is appropriate. It's basically how Tim Curry says it. It's how I'm going to say it. We're back. Back. More Outer Wilds on another Same Game Monday. Episode 12. We've been doing this one for a while. I knew we were going to be doing this one for a while. I didn't know how deep down the rabbit hole we were going to get when we started. I knew this game was a lot. Just from the ways that people talked about Outer Wilds before we started playing it, and specifically, hey Al, from the way that people like didn't talk about it, because I'd heard people raving about this game without ever giving any like details about it or ever getting anything away about it, which to me spoke to like a reverence. Hey Bob, hey Bad Road. Um and like there are only certain kinds of media that inspire that kind of unilateral conviction, I think, in their fan bases. And I get it now. Like I'm there. I'm with them. I understand it. But yeah, yeah. Uh, what a weird quote for that one. Maybe we don't have any Spice quotes. To be fair, I don't have much reason to talk about Spice most of the time. Um, we I don't tend to. I'd like to say I keep it spicy, but let's be real. I'm fairly vanilla. Uh, but certainly we don't usually. We don't talk about spice enough. So that's let me tie to someone who's cool. I'm wondering if I'm wondering what that's from. Oh, the quote came from Hey. Why do? Oh, because there's the they. It does partial matches. That's interesting. The spice should flow. That's fair. Is that true? I actually haven't read Dune. I don't know much about. I don't know much about it other than the worms are the spice because that's one of the big quotes. There we go. There were zero spice quotes. Okay, good. Well, at least I was correct in a completely unfounded guess. So that's we got that going for us. Um, and that also derailed my whole brain, which, as we've learned from this game more than most, is not difficult to do. But yeah, we're back with more Outer Wilds. I feel like we're coming up. I don't know if we're gonna finish the game tonight. I don't think we are, but I feel like we're coming up on the end of it by virtue of the fact that we've now been to almost every planet. I guess technically we've been to every planet. We just haven't figured out how to land on the Phantom Moon, and we haven't figured out how to get inside of um the interloper. I was trying to remember the name of the comet. We haven't figured out how to get inside of the interloper, although I have my theories. We probably have to use a whole cycle testing it out, which probably not going to do tonight because I want to try and get to Feldspar, and I have a theory on how to do that. And if we are successful in meeting Feldspar, and Feldspar has the clue we need to get to the core of Giant's Deep, then that's two mysteries for the price of one, which would be cool. And then assuming that Feldspar or the core of Giant's Deep and the probe tracking data don't give us the clue on how to land on the Phantom Moon, then we got to go back to Brittle Hollow and get inside the Tower of Quantum Knowledge to get the last piece that we need. We get that, we land on the Quantum Moon, then we just got to get the shrine to the North Pole on the Quantum Moon to get it to the secret sixth location, which it has just now occurred to me there's one other heavenly body that we haven't figured out how to land on, which is the Sun Station, which might be the secret sixth location to which they refer. Hmm. That might be how we get to the Sun Station, is by going to the Quantum Moon. Maybe. Or that takes us to the Eye of the Universe. The thing that the Nomad came here searching for in the first. I'm just going to theory craft in the open for no reason whatsoever. The important thing is we have an objective. We're going to get to Feldspar, who's somewhere in Dark Bramble, a floating bramble patch filled with fog and house-sized anglerfish who want to. Well, I don't know what they want to do, but they seem like they might want to eat it. But the good news is, we figured out at the end of last stream that we can fire our scout through the bramble seed on Timber Hearth, and it seems to land at a campsite. So, assuming Feldspar is at said campsite where all the other travelers have been, so fingers crossed, then we can fire the scout, then get in the ship, then go to Dark Bramble, and use the locator beacon in the fog to guide us to the campsite. And if we can just keep ahead of the anglerfish long enough to get to the beacon, maybe we can meet Feldspar before we are eaten. It's almost a rhyme. It's a bit of a slant rhyme. And then maybe we'll get some answers about how to get to the Corin Giant's Deep, from which all the weird glowy orange jellyfish come, and into which the third hub from the orbital probe launching cannon sunk. There are so many pieces I'm trying to hold my head at the same time, and it's I've gone through half of this notebook, and it's all in here also, and it's a lot. It's a lot, but I feel like we're at like the end of the weird web of red strings on the conspiracy board, and it right now everything leads to Feldspar or possibly a comet, but I'm more confident that we can get to Feldspar. So, handy dandy notebook. Yeah, so we're gonna start there. And before we start there, I'm going to catch up on chat, and then we're going to talk about content warnings, and then we're going to start with a probe and getting to hopefully get to Feldspar, which may take more than one attempt. We'll see how that goes. We actually stayed ahead of the anglerfish pretty well last time, so I'm less concerned about that than the getting lost part, which hopefully the locator beacon will help us with. The spice is an upper that lets people do the math required for interstellar travel in their heads, and they can't use computers because those are outlawed. Dune is a weird book. Or I say book. Isn't it a bunch of books? You don't need to answer that. I can Google that later. we have neither spice nor vanilla quotes. That's I've missed it on both ends. I guess you don't often talk about the things you are. At least I don't. Without spice, interstellar trade would collapse. Oh, that seems like an allegory. There was an AI uprising, so they hate computers. Okay, yeah, that old chestnut. I love how anytime that the quote bot can't find anything, it goes back to quote zero, which is the ignore me having a moment. Yeah. Which seems very appropriate because it's almost like the quote bot itself is like being like, sorry, just thank you so much for dealing with my stuff. It's almost like it's self-referential. It's meta, which I'm kind of okay with. God. I like how it combines exploration with solving a mystery. Yeah, I agree. It's quite good. It's quite good. It's I I've gotten into a thing. I'm still ranting about this, and I'm going to keep ranting about it. I've gotten into a thing. I don't know if I've talked about this in one of the many long rambles leading up to any of our mini games in a while. I've gotten to a point, and I don't know if this is a facet of getting older or having played a lot of games or what, or none of those things. But when I was younger, I used to look for games that I could play over and over and over again. And now I've gotten to a point where I would prefer games that I kind of play and then feel satisfied with and then kind of put on the shelf and never have to worry about again. Because I don't like having a game that I have to keep coming back to over and over and over again. I like having the like, ooh, it's new. Ooh, I'm in it. Ooh, it's done. And just like the conveyor belt of passing things through to completeness is nice. So a game like Outer Wilds that has this sweet spot of there's a lot inside of this game, but it's all one playthrough, even though because of the 22-minute cycle, it's kind of like replay value. Because if you think about each loop as its own playthrough, it's sort of like it's its own roguelike? Not really, but if each loop is its own playthrough, it's like you're getting replay value inside of one playthrough. But like once we're done with this game, once we're done with this stream, I'm probably never going to play Outer Wilds again because we'll have done everything I want to do. There's not a reason for me to pick up this game and try it again from scratch, unless I'm wanting to do some kind of like weird speedrun thing, which could be interesting, but there's not going to be a reason to want to experience the game again for the first time. We've done all the stuff. It fits both needs simultaneously, and I think that that's rather genius. In addition to all the other ways that this game is genius. Do we know for certain what happens if the ship ends up in the anglerfish's mouth? No, we haven't been caught by it yet. We might find that one out kind of the way that we found out. I guess we still haven't actually found out what happens in Ghost Matter because we managed to avoid it. We managed to find out that we can avoid it because the little crystal bits are not the ghost matter. So we don't know what happens when we actually go in actual ghost matter either. We just know that the game has told us it's dangerous. So I assume death the same way that I assume that the anglerfish munches us is death. Or at least damage. We may have a little bit of leeway. We may get like the ship gets damaged a bit, so we may be able to get nibbled on a little bit and still keep going. I don't know how forgiving they're going to be. So, we'll find out. I made mac and cheese and then ate the mac and cheese, and now I wish I had more mac and cheese. That is a vicious cycle that I am very familiar with. Love mac and cheese. It's like Majora's Mask, except instead of collecting items, you collect information. Yes, exactly. Although I feel like I also do that in Majora's Mask. But yeah. Completely agreed. All right. Thank you all for going with me on this intellectual journey, which kind of on a meta level, also what the whole game is. But speaking of the game, in the interest of eventually getting to it, I also updated our content warnings, and I plan to do this format more in the future because I keep doing it verbally, and I meant to actually add it to the tag, and now I've done that thing. So, without further ado, I do love my ado, but let's actually get into the thing. Outer Wilds is a space survival game, so we're going to have, or at least there's a good chance of scenes of suffocation, almost certainly scenes of falling, rapidly changing perspectives, because we're operating in 3D space here. We're probably going to end up back in Giant's Deep, so there's a chance that we may drown. The confined space is hopefully not too much of a chance of that, but the ship itself is a fairly confined space. So there's at least a little chance of tight, kind of claustrophobic confinements. A lot of the lore entries that we've seen, as well as just environmental storytelling with skeletons, some of which are very small, want to let you know that there will be allusions to death or direct mention of death, sometimes specifically of children or parents. So fair warning that is coming. Jump scares has been on the list since the beginning, and I have often said we won't have to worry about that until we get to Dark Bramblewolf. That's where we're going immediately. So, fair warning, jump scares, big anglerfish coming out of the fog suddenly is going to be kind of the theme for tonight, and I don't know how many tries it's going to take us, so that may be kind of a big theme of tonight. Another one is flashing lights, which I've been told happens primarily at the game's ending. We might get there tonight. I don't know how much, and I don't know how much game there is left. We might get there in an hour, which is about how much time we've got left, a little over an hour. So fair warning that there may be flashing lights, especially as we get towards the end of the game itself. For a much more comprehensive list, there's a link here in the content warning tag at !CW or bang CW. Has a link directly to the doesthedogdie.com entry for Outer Wilds that has a comprehensive breakdown of all the various content and potential like trigger warnings that Does the Dog Die catalogs, where people have gone in and made specific mentions of includes that are anywhere in the game, along with scene references that will have a lot more contextual details than I'm able to provide as a first-time player. The folks who have played this game already have gone back in and taken the time to identify what's included and some details about those scenes so that you can be forewarned about what's coming and when, so that you can protect yourselves best for your viewing experience. And if as always, if you need to step away, you can absolutely do so. Do what you need to do to take care of you and never apologize for that. There were jump scares around the Quantum Rock, right? There was exactly one with the silly skeleton, which I did not know to notify about. But so far, that's actually been the only other one. We've been otherwise nice and spared. So it's really just been the one that I knew was coming was the anglerfish, because it was the one that was mentioned. They did not mention the skeletons, but they mentioned the anglerfish, so we know for certain that we're getting more jump scares tonight, which is the anglerfish. I guess was how I meant to phrase that. We definitely know that there are more coming tonight, right off the bat. Big fish coming out of the fog suddenly going rah at us. So just that's my forewarning, along with all the other forewarnings. 5 warnings even. There are that many of them. So I think that's that on that. Okay, cool. Game. Spice. There we go. Right. Step 1, probe. Step 2, ship. Step 3, fish. Step 4, answers. Feldspar is also the last person of the Hearthian space division who is has left the planet. He was listed. Pardon me. They were listed. I keep forgetting that. They were listed as having been lost. And we identified very early on, based on their instrument of choice, a harmonica, that they were on Dark Bramble. So, assuming that it isn't an anglerfish who's just really good at harmonica, which would be a cool twist, we'll finally get to meet Feldspar tonight, which would be a nice way to complete the set. I have another theory, and if we meet Feldspar, that theory will also be confirmed, and I'll have another big question that Feldspar probably can't answer. And I don't want to mention that theory until we meet Feldspar, because if it turns out to be incorrect, then I don't have to risk looking like a silly person. But if it is correct, then we'll talk about it then, because we'll have all the details, and it'll make sense. But there's no reason to get ahead of ourselves. We've done quite enough of that already. There, and gently. Feels like we're, yeah, okay. Did feel like we were pitched a little bit forward, and we were. Well, backwards, I guess. Yep. And scout launcher. Yo! Now, wait until it lands. Hopefully it actually gets to... This is the anglerfish that I'm hoping is either dead or asleep. I'll take asleep. Asleep is fine. What matters is that that is the camp. Okay, there we go. And we leave you there. And back out of this so we don't accidentally retrieve the scout. Now, we're heading towards error duplicate signal. That's our guidepost. There we go. That's what we're looking for. Whew. New monster idea, a predator that mimics music. Oh, I love it. It's like, what is it, hyenas that imitate baby cries? Hello, interloper. We'll come see you if we end up with time. Okay. Is there a side... closer? Doesn't seem like it. I think it's all, yeah. The planet is kind of a whoop, hang on. Noticing that we're not actually going up. There we go. Yeah, I think it's all in through the nugget. Alright. Alright, so we only have to go a little less than a kilometer, right? So that's fine. I was wrong. Immediately changed, but it's that little dot over there. That's fine. We can do this. We can do this. Fly casual. Okay. Oh, I see. I think I understand now. So it's a sequence of teleportations, maybe? No! Okay, okay. No, it's fine. This is fine. We can do this. It's Lost Woods. I've done Lost Woods. I used to play Zelda. It's fine. We can... Okay, so it's any of these. It's a teleportation network. Okay. Alright. Just going towards this. There it is! There it is! Oh, EDB. Nope, no, not that one, not that one. Feldspar, I assume? Okay. Come on, please. Off the tooth, off the tooth! Okay, first of all. Alright. A little stuck on the incisor. There we go. Trying to actually get into the mouth. Nope. This way, please. Gently. Ow. Yes, and you make as much noise as possible. Great idea. Great plan. Brilliant, even. Okay, fine. We'll just set down right on the teepees. Perfect. Yeah? Settle? Please settle? Alright. Good enough. Are you settled? I want you to still be here when I get back. Thank you. Oh my god. Signal nearby, huh? We did it in one. We didn't even see an anglerfish. Oh, these are all cuspids. You're not wrong. I was grabbing whatever, I was grasping for teeth, just out of the sense of immediate panic. I thought they'd be taller. Do you think Feldspar planted those trees? That's a great question, actually. This is the gravity gem from the Nomai. Got the same hum and everything. There's our scout. Is the distress beacon. We're not getting a reading on that at all. Yeah, this is the only thing we've got, is that. Feldspar? The cooler Feldspar. Yeah, no quantum fluctuations. No distress beacons. We're in a little pocket dimension. Our signal reader doesn't get anything in here. Yeah, I'm actually wondering, because this, the other end of this, is Timber Hearth, I'm wondering if seeds came here from Timber Hearth, and that's why this place is planted. Waiting a long time for this meeting. Hi? Whoa. Where'd you come from? No one's come here in... well, ever, actually. That makes you the second Hearthian to ever reach Dark Bramble. After me, of course. Well done. Say, it's you. They made you an astronaut? You haven't blown yourself up yet. Good for you. Feldspar, you're alive? You never were the brightest hatchling, were you? Yeah, that's right, I'm alive. Been camping out here since my ship, crashed. Violently. You crashed? But you're the greatest pilot in Harthian history. I haven't lived in polite society for a while, so I'm just gonna go ahead and assume that wasn't sarcasm. My story goes like this. I just finished exploring the core of Giant's Deep, and I wanted to try my hand at Dark Bramble, seeing as no one had ever been before. Getting around to Dark Bramble was easy, mind you. Once you've dodged one massive interdimensional vine bristling with thorns, you've dodged them all. But after a while, I ran into this huge anglerfish. You've seen them? Big gnarly things? And this is the biggest one I've ever seen. I pull a few stunts, try to shake the thing off. Nothing too fancy. I'm going full speed when the fish clips me, knocks me into a vine, and, well, like I said, I crash. Blammo! On impact, my ship starts making noises like it's coming apart from the inside, and I think, well, that ain't great. Sorry. Well, that ain't great. Sure enough, I barely get out of there before the electrical system starts sparking like crazy. It's either move fast or die unpleasantly. So I had to put a little distance between me and my poor fried ship. Camped out near where I crashed at first. Found this skeleton later. Great find. Would have been stupid not to use it. So I moved my setup over here and planted my emergency tree seeds. There it is. That's where the trees came from. Been here ever since. No wonder there are so many stories about you back home. You're not half bad yourself, making it here in one piece. Anyway, that's how it all went down, Ashley. Story's over, but feel free to stay and enjoy the fire a while. Or don't. Fire's not going anywhere. Anything else you wanted? Oh, we have so many questions to ask. Always wondered what emergency trees looked like. Are they going to ask for a ride home? No, I mean, clearly, like all the other explorers are just content to stay put. They're all, like, they're all just happy to be here, I guess, which is wild. Okay. Let's start with the thing. This is what we came here to ask. Let's open with the big one, and we'll work our way down from here. You've reached the core of Giant's Deep. How'd you do? Giant's Deep's core, huh? Ah, that was a wild one. But since you're asking, I gotta assume you haven't made it down there yourself yet, right? If I tell you how, kinda feels like cheating. On a completely unrelated note, that sure was a big hollow vine my ship crashed into. Yep. Okay, I was right. It was the Bramble. Hollow vine, huh? If I were you, I'd go take a walk and see where it ends. You'll want to go to the tail end of this anglerfish skeleton here and look for a flickering light in the fog. That'll be my old ship. Path starts there. Okay, alright. Hey, Hatchling, pull up a marshmallow stick. Let's go with... What happened to this anglerfish? I'm assuming we're talking about the one we're standing on. Oh, the skeleton? It was like this when I got here. It wasn't me, I swear. I had nothing to do with this. Near as I can tell, the anglerfish must have been chewing on the vine and eating a seed, and then the seed grew and grew in the poor fish's stomach until this happened. Gross, huh? Yeah, The skeleton was a good find. Keeps the fish away. See, they're territorial, so they mostly avoid each other. That's why I set up camp here. Oh, very good. Very good. Shouldn't I tell ground control to come get you? Well, yeah, sure. Whenever you have the time. Frankly, I kind of like it out here. Quiet. Peaceful-ish. You're a little young to understand, but it's a lot of pressure, being the best that ever was. Been nice to have a break. Oh, I love them. Sorry, I keep interrupting the very nice harmonica. I think we know this already, but I just want to ask to make sure I haven't missed any details. Where's your ship? Not far from here, as a matter of fact. If you go straight past the tail of this anglerfish, you'll see a flickering light in the fog. Okay, cool. Follow that, you'll find my old ship. What's left of it anyway. Cool, alright. Good. Okay, so there's also the Know My Vessel and Distress Beacon are somewhere around here, so I'm going to ask, where should I explore here? That's the spirit. Anywhere is good, but you should know that space is weird here. intensely. Ever tried throwing your scout into one of these weird seeds? See there, with a little opening? It's just big enough to launch one through. Your scout track will take the scouts in 2 places at once, but I don't think that's wrong exactly, because the space doesn't work right in here. That seed looks small, see, but inside, it's bigger. Much bigger. I've had a lot of time to think about this, and my theory is space in Dark Bramble kind of expands as you go through each sphere. That's why it's bigger inside those seeds. Well, that's my theory. Keep that in mind while you're exploring Dark Bramble, and maybe you won't get lost inside forever. Good luck. Alright, so each time you go through one, it's bigger, bigger, bigger. Hey, Katie! No, my vessel! Alright, it gets bigger each time. And then the Nomai vessel, according to the diagram we saw, seemed pretty big, because if the crash ships that we've seen are actually like the escape pods, reason dictates that the vessel would be much larger. I found something. Lay it on me. I found a Dark Bramble seed on Timber Hearth. That's bad business, Ashley. As Chert will tell you if you so much as glance in Dark Bramble's direction, there used to be a 5th planet where Bramble is now. This infernal plant appeared at the center and kept growing and growing and growing, till it shattered the planet and scattered its pieces across space. If we don't get that seed you found, sorta real quick like, I suspect Timber Hearth will be headed towards the same fate. And I tell you what, we Hearthians have overcome far too much to be done in by some worthless seed. Alright, good to know. I found Nomai writing saying anglerfish are blind. Aha! The blasted things do have a weakness. Meaning my fly as fast as I can approach to dealing with them could have used a bit more thought behind it. Ah well, at least they didn't eat me. All's well that ends well, huh? Okay. So if one of them comes at us, if we stop thrusting, so that we are just floating there, not making any noise, maybe that will save us? Maybe that's a way to throw them off. Can I take this with me? No, but it will hum at me, so that's nice. Just top off on this. Oh, hang on. No, that's a flask. I thought it was a recording device. I think we've gotten all the info from you. Alright, well we've got that's the wrong button. Yo! Thank you, Scout. Oh, the duplicate signal is the ship now. I was trying to figure out, we retrieved the Scout. What's that? Ooh, oh no, 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 no. I slid right off the end. Right, tail of the anglerfish. There's the flickering light. I see it now. Okay. Got it. Alright, let's not try to do this on foot just yet. Hey, yo! Alright, we got a few updates. Okay. Yeep, there we go. Right. Okay, we got everything at the construction yard. We got everything at the camp. Alright. So we head to that vine, and that'll hopefully get us to the core. Forgot that there was something at the Sunless City that we still haven't done. Well, how long do you think Feldspar was there? Oh, right. So, I mentioned that I had a theory. And I don't know that it's been confirmed. Feldspar said they had a lot of time to think. But Feldspar also doesn't seem to know about a time loop. So, here's my theory. I went back and I watched the first stream where we found the Ash Twin projection stone that had all the masks around staring at us. Turns out I wrote it down wrong. When we found the memory project on Giant's Deep that explained that that's where the Nomai were like storing their memories on the Ash Twin. It's the same pattern, so that those are both windows to the same room essentially. It's if I understand it right, from Flox's demo, that's more or less a like database of stored Nomai memories that can be reloaded in the event of, say, them being wiped out or them dying. A save state, if you will. I don't think the pattern matters, which was the thing that I was originally writing down. I think what matters is that of the faces or of the masks in that projection, 3 of them are still lit. So far, we're aware of the time loop. Gabbro is aware of the time loop. And I had a theory that Feldspar might be aware of the time loop. 3 Hearthians, 3 still intact Nomai masks or still functional things. So essentially that was me wondering if the Nomai memory storage system through their statues had activated its like emergency protocol and downloaded their memories into 3 Hearthians to try to keep solving a problem long after the actual Nomai were gone, and it's just using us to try and keep solving the mystery. And it picked 3 of us, so I'm pretty sure that us and Gabbro are 2 of the 3. And I had originally thought that Feldspar would be the 3rd one, and I don't know for sure that they're not. Them mentioning that they had a long time to think about this might be an oblique way of saying that they are maintaining their memory between loops, but they've also been stuck in here. So this is the one place where you might not see the supernova happening. So they also may just not know that the world is resetting over and over again. So I may be wrong on that theory, but that's my guess, is that there's essentially 3 of us who are aware of the time loop, and it's the main character, Gabbro, and 1 other. And I thought it was Feldspar. It might still be Feldspar, but I'm not 100% certain on that. Why would Feldspar get it? Feldspar was the first Hearthian off-world. So of all the people to bump into a Nomai statue and get whammied by it, Feldspar seemed like a good candidate. We bumped into the one in the museum, and Gabbro was on the island with Flox's lab, with the memory lab that also had one of the statues next to it. So I think it's just whoever happens to get near, because Flox's explanation even said, even asked other people to like back up, because whoever was near the statue at the time that they do the thing, it goes based on proximity. So it's got some kind of a proximity trigger. So whoever gets near the goat head statue first is who it like couples with. We're actually the oddball, because that Nomai statue was in the museum before we got there, so I don't know why it like linked up with us. That's still an open mystery. But Feldspar and Gabbro make sense, because they were either the first one to a number of different planets, because Feldspar was just the first one to a lot of these things, or Gabbro was right at the lab. Proximity trigger. I love that game. Very nice. This is first year particle physics. Yeah, right. Exactly. There's so much about this that I love. With the stored memories, do you think it would be possible to bring some Nomai back? In a sense, we may already have, if my theory is correct. Back as what, infomorphs? Right, yeah, exactly. It's these are good questions. I don't know. Oop, headlights on. Alright, so if I can get to the glowy, this is where the ship is. So I take it nice and slow. There it is, I see it. Oh, I see! And there's a hole in the vine. Dear Liza, dear Liza. Whoop! Oh god, oh god. You know, Feldspar, you could have warned me about the electrical issue. Okay, hang on, Turn around. Whoop, 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 whoop. There it is. That was your ship that did that to me, wasn't it? Okay, let's just get in here for a moment. And then get my flashlight on. Whoop, 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 whoop. Where are the electrical systems on this thing? There they are. I gotta be at exactly the right distance. You do it? Is that it? Like, it's not sparking anymore, so I'm gonna assume that's it. Or... Yes, okay, that was it. Woo! No. And then... We go... Whoop, 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 whoop. Whoop. Okay, well the ship is there, so we can't go that way. Maybe this is supposed to be done without the ship. I may be trying to fit way too much. Okay, we're just going to do this as a meme. And maybe this is folly, but you only live a million times, so. We can only send our scout through the other bramble, so this time we'll just assume we're our ship's scout. Woo! Okay, alright. There's no fog. We've clearly moved. Ooh. Okay, alright. This is fine. Jellyfish. Okay. Where the fuck are we? Trip 4? Entry number... I'm gonna say not 1. Crashes, 3. Boring crashes, 0. Personal best. Whoa! Never thought I'd see one of these beasties outside a giant steep. They were awfully useful back here. Maybe a jellyfish could be useful here too. Bleh! This thing tastes terrible. Oh, not now. Thing tastes terrible. Outside's all rubbery and tough. Maybe that's because it insulates the jellyfish insides from getting zapped by electricity. Right, I'm going inside this jellyfish interior cavity to see if what's in there tastes any better. Alright, this is fine. This is fine. We can do this. Definitely. Note to Feldspar, do not eat this even if you are dying. Would be too sad if this were the last thing you ever ate in this life. Guess these jellyfish are only useful for insulation from electricity. Again, do not eat. Love, Feldspar. Can we take any of it with us? Alright, well that's the end of this loop, but now we know how to get back here. And without having to talk to Feldspar, we'll have saved some time, I guess? I think I've seen that hentai mag. We'll just hang out here. Jellyfish, how you doing? Yeah, you doing alright? What if we hide in the jellyfish? Will that save us? Oh good, same hat, Bad Road. Turns out, no. But that's still important science. Duck and cover. Okay, well the good news is we got to Feldspar on our first attempt, so we at least won't spend the whole time just trying to get to Objective 1. That makes me ecstatic. I'm always happy when the thing I think is gonna work works the first time, which I think it's absolutely in this game's credit how often that's happened. Do you actually want to live through the destruction of the solar system? Fair point. Fair point. Hey, Joy. Like a refrigerator. Oh, God. I saw an incredible... This is a weird poll. I saw an incredible take the other day that the refrigerator atom bomb scene was not only not the worst scene in Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull, it was in fact the best scene in an otherwise terrible movie. And it was a remarkably compelling article because of the fact that Indiana Jones had its original basis in essentially the pulp genre. This is the whole thing. All right, let me read all this through. Feldspar documented their attempts to eat this enormous jellyfish frozen in the ice. The outside was all rubbery and tough, possibly because it insulates the jellyfish's insides from getting zapped by electricity. All right, so the jellyfish are the key. Right, people don't seem to understand that it's intended to be silly. That's exactly right. Feldspar decided to venture into the jellyfish's interior cavity to see if it tasted any better on the inside. After tasting the inside of the jellyfish, Feldspar concluded that these jellyfish are only useful for insulation from electricity. So, if we swim into the jellyfish, we can we swim with them to get into the core? I guess I didn't try swimming inside of the jellyfish because I'm aware of how actual jellyfish work. And actual well, I guess if we're in a suit, I didn't consider the suit. Normally speaking, the last place you want to be on a jellyfish is directly underneath the hood. It's ground zero for bad stuff. But we're in a spacesuit. So yeah, maybe we hang out, wait for a jellyfish. You know, they've got extremely long tendrils. So if we get there right as one's emerging, maybe the tentacles themselves effectively act as a bridge, and literally as it's emerging, we can jump in and go down while they're coming out of the core? Is that the play? Or do we get inside of it and like pilot the jellyfish? Let's find out. Time for oceanography. Completely unethical oceanography. It's fine. No real jellyfish will be harmed in this. Probably. Don't do this in your local ocean. Whether you have a spacesuit or not. You aren't. Yep, there you were. You were above me. That's why. Thank you, Joy. I don't understand the problem. Just pilot the jellyfish. Otherwise, Ray will have to do it again. I don't know which answer I'm hoping for on this one. Like, am I hoping it's the you have to go in quickly while they're emerging, or if it's you have to go up under the hood and then, you know, pilot the jellyfish. Both are good. Hey, Phantom Moon. We'll deal with you eventually. Yo. Right, okay, we can't get through that layer. We still have to go and find a downward cyclone first. Okay, so we know how to deal with that. Or rather, how to find that. Yo! So, first, Spoing. Really? Okay, that's an up. Yep. Crap. Sorry, I was trying to avoid that. Okay, I think everybody's fine. Scout, please. Something's wrong. Try to keep the sequence as brief as possible. That's what I thought. Whee! Alright. Good. I know how clocks work. Alright, let's try this first with the ship and just see what happens. You're like, you've got the electrical wibbles, which makes me think you're gonna fry the ship, but let's find out, right? Yes, okay, correct. See, listen, science. Science is important. Now, second important question. Are we electrical? This might just be... Come on, just float. Please, just float. Perfect. Okay. Actually, before we do this, is there ever a moment when you're not electrical? When you make contact, you remain wibbly. Because you do go back in. Right, you do a glowy, right? That's the surface. Get out of there. Get out of there. Let's get back in the ship. I'm sorry I left you. I'm coming, bitty boy. Alright, so we'll use the ship to get close. And then we will hop out and attempt. Hiya. There we go. To steer ourselves into the jellyfish path. There we go. There. There. Okay, now out. And of course, the other thing I don't know is, are there some of these that don't have electricity to them? Ow! Okay. We are electrical. See? Science. Is there... If we go directly underneath, right, like this, we... Come on. Eat me! Don't touch the sides. Operation. I think it's working. Eat me! Remember, don't eat it. I'm more worried about being slowly digested, but I imagine we've probably got time. Okay, alright. Okay, alright. It's fine. We have a brand new hat. Now, presumably, at some point... There we go. it will leave, and we will remain. Okay. Aha! Aha! Okay. Yes! Yes! Okay, alright. Let's go! Science! Yeah. Well, we might have flooded the pot, but it's fine. It's fine. Oh. Hi, how are y'all doing? You can say, I gotta tell Gabro about this when we're done. That's a very good... Oh, hey, look, it's a Nomai statue. If it's slow enough, it won't matter. Exactly right. We weren't in there long enough for it to digest enough of the suit. I missed it while letting the dog out. So, the tentacles on the outside of the jellyfish are electrified, but they don't go all the way down. Which, if I'd thought about it, is... Well, it's not actually accurate of a real jellyfish. The point is, if you go down far enough and essentially wait under the jellyfish as it starts its descent, you can just be underneath, and then as it comes all the way down, the electrified parts of the tentacles are all on the outside, like an umbrella, and we just had to be underneath it, and then we were just underneath the cap, and it just took us underneath, and then all the electricity stayed in a nice little bubble right around us, but right around us. And, right, stinging tentacles and feeding arms. So we just stayed in the feeding arms, and it just didn't eat us fast enough. So, now we're inside. We took a little bit of damage, but not enough. And that's, you know what, that's important. Alright, so we have the 2... there, and this is 3. Aha! Astral Projection Stone. Okay, so this might show us the faces again. Yes, it does. Okay, so we should have 1, 2, 3. Right, okay, so this is the memory storage database for the Nomai. Assuming that I'm understanding that right from Phlox's notes. I have exciting news, Privet. The Astron project is almost prepared to receive the probe data from the orbital probe cannon. Ramey's adding some finishing touches here, but she'll be finished soon. Are you in the orbital probe cannon well? What an interesting way to put that. We are. The statue here in the probe tracking module is ready to record each launch's flight trajectory and will automatically transmit all relevant data to you. Once the probe determines the location of the Eye of the Universe, I'll send an alert directly to you and Ramey. On the other appendage... Sorry, I don't know why that cracked me up so much. On the other appendage, I'm now worried about this cannon's structural integrity and its crew's moral integrity. That shows the launch module, which I don't really need to see inside it, but I do want to see what the data says. Imagine, Privet, the probe tracking module will be the first to know the coordinates of the Eye of the Universe. You'll be the first to see them. I am honored and terrified. You won't ask the orbital probe cannon to use so much power that it breaks, will you? Fret not, my nervous friend. We only need to fire the probe once anyway, so who minds if it compromises the orbital probe cannon's structural integrity slightly? Slightly. I would mind, Mallow. I would mind, because we won't be capable of retrieving our probe's data if the probe tracking module is destroyed. Yeah, thanks, Privet. I really appreciate you looking out. Honestly, this was a real kind of pain in the butt. Upside down we go. It's fine. We got there. Okay. Don't want to touch that thing. That'll send us back. Alright, now then. You, come with me. And you'll be in a world of scientific data. Alright, so this will show us the probe launching. Right, read from the top. Receiving data from probe 9,318,092. Visualizing current trajectory of the same probe. I love how drippy it is. Uh, and then what? Retrieving previous launch data from Ash Twin. Total number of probes launched 9,318,092. Deep space anomaly matching all known criteria for the Eye of the Universe found by probe 9,318,054. Actually, let me back up a second. I'm worried that I moved this one too quickly. Just show me this. So this was 32? No, 92. So you launch. Hang on a second. $92, okay. 92 minus 54. Give me. So 38? We got that right? Hello? Retrieving stored coordinates from Ash Twin. Displaying coordinates for the Eye of the Universe. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Huh. Well. Whoa. Whoa. Okay, listen. Gravity Flores, I'm gonna need you to leave me alone for like 10 seconds so that I can leave. No, but really. I get that you're trying to be helpful, I do. I understand it, but I really just want to be. Just let me get in here. There we go, thank you. Well. Well. Hello? Yep, thanks. Appreciate you. We just need to wait for another jellyfish. Oh, jellyfish. Ah, jellyfish. Friend! Down, middle, little to the left. Uh-huh, here we go. Yeah. It's fine. Too much. Yeah. Into the hat. That's fine. It's fine. It bounced us out. That's all that matters. Well, and we're alive, so two things. Whew. Okay. Plenty of oxygen, plenty of fuel. We did it. That's what matters. Found the eye. Well, we found the coordinates to the eye. Now we just need to be able to read them. I feel like way back at the start on like Adel Rock, there was a set of those language symbols, but it's been a hot minute. Whee! Hi, ship. I missed you. Also missed this. Delicious. Okay. Alrighty. Woo! Ha. Look at that board. Look how filled in that board is. Okay, we're gonna just have a moment there to pause time while I catch up with y'all. We might have seen that conversation already, because it was the chip from Module 2, which I think was in Module 2, which was the launch module, So we could have played that in one. So yeah, I don't 100% remember them, so sometimes I'm going to be redundant. So, ugh. Now simply reverse the polarity of the neutron flow. Yeah, the the rooms like that flip us upside down are, I don't love them. I wish there was a way to like discreetly disengage mag boots, uh, or like a button to be like hook onto the floor, hook away from the floor, as opposed to just proximity. Anyway, uh, so my theory is still that the eye of the universe is only accessible by via the quantum moon. I don't know this for certain, but this is my guess. Now this is an interesting thing, right? So the orbital probe cannon has launched millions of probes. And we know it receives a signal at the start of the cycle. And that launching the probe causes it to break apart, right? What if it breaks apart every time it fires a probe, but something about its system causes it to track data across loops? Suggesting that there have been over 9 million loops since the time loop began. As in, the orbital probe cannon is good for exactly one probe launch per time loop. And it's had 9,380,092 of them. And on the 9,318,054th loop, it finally found, just from scattershotting, it finally found the eye of the universe. That's wild. Is that why they wanted the loop in the first place? So they could just repeat the simulation infinitely? Because they knew how silly it was to just fire a probe into every single, like, coordinate line in space? And that's why they just doomed this, like, solar system, or possibly much more? And so first they uploaded their brains and then set the simulation to run infinitely, and we're like, well, when we find it, then we'll download ourselves again to wake up and find the data. What a wild decision. Alright, so we have these coordinates now. Let's get off this planet. So I think that's the last thing that we needed on Giant's Deep. There's still a whole vessel to find. Oop, no, not you. Still a whole vessel to find somewhere inside of Dark Bramble, which I guess we could follow the third escape pod. There we go. So we got escape pod 2, escape pod 1, and then there. So we need to lock onto that and just follow it, which would be kind of an auditory nightmare, but like that's our other homing beacon, is we'd follow that signal through Dark Bramble to the vessel. In the meantime, is there a position I can get to line you guys up? We can get some nice music here. But not the sun. No one wants to go to the sun. Stop it. Put this up. No. I have to do like this, right? What? No, don't do that. Nope, not that either. Nope, nope, stop that. What? Chip, are you okay? Oh, returning to... That's why it's auto-locking on the sun, because I'm at the edge of the known solar system. Okay, I was wondering what was going on there. That was weird. It's the first time I'd ever done that. There we go. Now, the comet, please. You can't land on the sun. No, we even tried to land on the orbital sun station and couldn't even get to that, which is not quite on the sun, although it's darn close. So, one of the other mysteries that's outstanding is that we still need to know how to get inside the interloper. A thing I don't know how to do. But we did learn last time that every time it passes, or at least when it passes the sun, some of the ice melts. So if it passes the sun more than once, might more of the ice melt? Possibly. And we just weren't here late enough in the cycle, maybe, for that to be significant? Could be. Don't know. Just gonna hover around it for a moment to see if I spot any openings. It's like going around a snow cone. Okay, that's also ice receding again. There we go, here we go, here we go. There. All right. Now, I also don't want to go into the sun myself, but we're about to. Yep. But I think that proves my theory. Both that the interloper passes the sun twice, and every time it passes the sun, it melts. So, late in the cycle, we go to the interloper, like at the very end, or maybe not the very end, but we wait for the interloper to pass the sun the second time, then I think we can get inside of it. Okay. We actually saw the ice melting further the second time. That's the trick. That's Phantom Moon. Stop that. You jerk. Alright, before we do that, though. It's a semicolon. But yeah, so that's the deal. Alright, it does pass the sun twice, and each time it passes, it melts more. So we just wait for it to go around the second time. It just takes a very long time to come back around again, which is true of comets, although, like, actual comets it tends to be even less true of. This one is in a much more stable orbit. Where is... I can't do that over here. I have to do it here. Sorry. A little bit of an awkward... There it is. It's been so long since we went to the moon. We haven't done it in a long time. Visit our friend on the moon. Yep, roll it. Roll it. Please. I should have gone into landing mode. That's on me. Well, never too late. Hooray! We did it. Let's go. Remember, you can't breathe on the moon, Andy. You can use your flashlight. Did we ever hang out here? I feel like we never went on this part of the moon. Where there's a recording. Chert's research notes. Property of Chert. This is an old crater. Next thing here is that the composition of the samples I took from the impact site matches the composition of the ice on the outskirts of Dark Bramble. Oh. I posit the Atarock was hit with a piece of the planet that used to be where Dark Bramble now lies. To follow up on, maybe there are more fragments of the old planet Dark Bramble destroyed on other astral bodies in the solar system. Okay, so the ice that's caught up in all the brambles, I'm guessing, is maybe from that original planet. That's the part that I was so confused by, was why are the brambles icy? But if the original planet was an ice giant, then that explains it. Neat. Are there quantum signals that I missed on the moon? It's the Grove Shard. We've been there. Hello, the interloper. Alright, let's track the time here. Let's whoop up. Keep up, please. Only up a little bit because it is the moon. Okay. One more time. There we go. There we go. Nope. Up a little more. Now down. Perfect. Alright, so... Hey. Hey. Now, is this the listening station? Esker signal scope log. Yes. Yada yada yada. Yeah, this is where they figured out that Feldspar was here. Which is very cool, I think. Up we go. I love how you can pretty much just skate off the moon. Tony Hawk's Pro Astronaut. No reason not to visit Esker. As long as we're out here. Oh, hey, it's you! Ground Control didn't tell me you were launching. Long time no see! Yeah. Oh, buddy, if you only knew. Actually, I guess it's been a long time since I've seen anyone. I'll talk to you later. You can just go collect all these axes. What if we just put axes all on the outside of our ship and then let one of the anglerfish have us? Really, it's the perfect plan. They'd never see it coming. Wait, that was rude. I didn't mean it like that. I forgot what we learned about them. There. Well, I guess that's actually true of, like, earth anglerfish, too. And most deep-sea fish. Well, that's a cool little pattern. I hadn't seen the swirl in that crater before. Alright, here's the thing I was looking for. Whoop. 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 There. There. And down. And down. Down. There we go. And in. That's right, Arthur. Right, this is the thing that will align a little tracking signal. Found Feldspar's journals down here. Did we ever figure out how to plug this in? Can't remember. Where should this new, more sophisticated locator be built? Yes, okay, we read this. We found that thatch. Is there a downstairs from here? There is a cat, though. Whoop, 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 whoop. Yeah. Hi, bud. Hi. How you doing? Time to inspect the face. Is it up to snuff? For sure. Hey, burp. Herp. Mm-hmm. Yeah, right there, bud. Oh, hep, herp. Oop. Okay, there we go. Better. Eh. He's not satisfied until he turns all of my shirts into V-necks. So this, I'm assuming, has not changed. Yeah, alright, good. And away! Zoop! And up. Where did I see... Where did I see those symbols? There's your ship. Is it literally on Timber Hearth? Hang on. I know it was early on. Maybe it was even earlier than that. You know what? Well, we're here anyway. I need to warn somebody about a seed. Ew. Alright. About 9 minutes. Halfway through. Heyo, hatchling. Thought you were taking that tin can of yours into space today. What are you still doing here? Me? Saw something crash over the horizon and didn't like what I was seeing in the pictures my little scout was sending back. Is that a dark bramble seed? Think so. Nothing I've ever seen on Timber Hearth before, so you're probably onto something there. Alright, let's see if I can warn you about what's going on. I'll set Marl and Hal loose on it. Best get rid of this mess sooner rather than later, and no one can remove an unwanted plant faster than a tree keeper can. Hell yeah. Had to look at what's inside the seed first, though. Don't want to set anybody up to hacking a potentially dangerous plant without a better idea of what's lurking inside there. Tuff can help me haul the old scout launcher over here. Obviously the opening is too small for somebody to fit inside. That was a clue they let us know to fire a thing inside. Alright, cool. So it sounds like they're already planning to chop the thing up, which is the important part. So we don't have to pre-warn anybody. And they've got a scout launcher to investigate it with, so... Alright. But they're already on the case. Now, good, good. Alright, now, does Andy remember where town is? There are the geysers. I do like the geysers. The geysers are very fun. I think this is the ruins. Or just a way into the ruins. Is this town? This is town. No, that's the ruins. It's the other part of the ruins. There's only so much planet. There's the grove where we found the quantum shard. Which one is this? What is this? All this time and we haven't actually finished exploring the first planet we were on. It's just the other end of the... Okay, there's the quantum shard. It's a cool little cave. And there's this little, like, watchtower. We can go all along. If we do nothing else, we're killing time before we head back to the interloper. There we go. Can't remember if we've actually been up the top of this thing. I don't think we have. Or if we have, I forgot what's up there, which is almost as good. Ding. Beep, 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 beep. Hello, Phantom Moon. Church's research notes. Property of Church. Strange signal coming from somewhere within the grove. Okay, yeah, we haven't been up here. Okay. Alright, so in addition to Feldspard's recordings, I'm getting the sense that there are probably a lot more of Church's research notes that I haven't found on a number of the other planets out there. Alright, so that's there. Let's move back to geysers on that side. There we go. I'll just put it right down where we started. Hiya. Lovely. Back down the elevator. Whee! There we go. Let's head to the museum. Remember where it's at. Paul, save it. Observatory? Sure. Waterfalls in this game remain super loud. A good amount of time, okay. You're cutting it close. Wonder if anything happens on Timber Hearth near the end of the cycle? That's a great point. I guess technically we were here near the end of the first cycle. Not right at it, but like close to it. Alright, now, 1 second. Pause for each. Oh, there we go. Excuse me, buddy. Alright, there's everybody there. That. Did we find those letters mean anywhere? Because our auto-translator didn't translate it for us. What did this one tell us about? Walls move on their own. The ground is perfectly level, so what do you think causes the spooky motion? Answer is the moon! Right, it's just a gravity thing. Just a piece of art. Hillington. Nomad technology brought back from space by our astronauts. It's been a great boon to our adventures, right? There's the scout. The thing about the gravity guy. It's the baby anglerfish to warn us about what was coming. Thanks for that, by the way. I vaguely remember seeing like untranslated Nomai. Oh, was it up here? Where did hornbills go? According to my redshift calculations, every single galaxy in this image is moving away from us. The further away a galaxy is, the faster it appears to be moving away. It's almost as if the entire universe is expanding, but if that's true, was everything closer together in the past, and how far back can we extrapolate? Yada yada. Alright, we saw all this. Nothing in here has... Alright, this is just the explanation for the map. Nothing in here has changed. Alright. Maybe I dreamed it. Maybe we never actually saw the language. Hey, bud. How you doing? Hey. Yay! There you go. Ah, just like old times. Look at this. The statue opened its eyes. Bet you wish you'd seen that happen, huh? Ah, me too. Not even a little closer to understanding what's going on with the statue. Ha! I have a Theory. Is there something you needed? I found feldspar. You... You found feldspar? They're in dark bramble? Stars above, this is wonderful news. Thank you. Thank you for finding them. That feldspar didn't immediately join you on your ship, but return here was incredibly feldspar of them. We were never entirely sure what feldspar was thinking back then either. Still, we ought to fish them out of that dreadful place with all haste. I'll radio Gossin and have them prepare a ship. Really should be Gossin who brings feldspar home. Again, thank you. You can hardly imagine how profoundly happy I am to hear they're alive and unharmed. Alright. That's not going to be particularly helpful because we're too near the end of the cycle, but we'll do that again at the start of a cycle sometime and see if we can get them home. Let's see. We're over our time. I'm going to run a little long here just to see if we can get back to the interloper. Bonk. Run! Run, Harthian, run! Use your little space legs. And also, remember where the launch pad is. Crap. It's over here. Down here, maybe? Yes. Here. Over. Let's go. Faster, 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 faster. Take me to a comet! Oh, I don't know if... I might have cut it too close. Also, who desperately wishes to get down. Alright, there you go. Let's go! Yes, Arthur. That's right, we are comet bound. Once I can find it. Zoom out. Come on. Chameleon. Has it done its second pass? Who's to say? Well, only one way to find out. Let's go. I will laugh if we intercept it right as it hits the sun. Actually, show me that path again. Yeah, we're gonna get to it right as it hits the sun again. This is fine. No, as it nears the sun, it creatively misspoke. And behind it. Let's see if we can ride its coattails safely. Okay. This could be tricky, but maybe not impossible. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It's fine, I said. So. We've now damaged everything. Just gonna hang out here for a moment. As we wait. To get close and melt. Just a little more. Okay. Ah. Okay. Well, nuts to that plan. So we cannot, in fact, hide in the shadow of the comet. We've got to wait for it to slingshot around and then catch it on the other side, post-melting. So that was... Wow, that is... almost exact... Oh, boy, that's like... 20 minutes into the 22... Wow, we got to get there right at the end of the cycle. Alright. Yeah, that's like... We're gonna get there, and then, like, a moment later hear the music. Hmm. Hmm. Well. Well. Hmm. I don't love that. I don't love that. I was kind of hoping there wasn't anything that actually fell into that category. But I guess if it's anything, getting inside of a comet is an appropriate thing to fall into that. Unless I'm wrong. Maybe we don't have to wait for it to pass the second time. Uh, but at the moment, I don't see another way to get into it. So uh, we'll we'll try that if we've got time. At the moment, I think our only other outstanding thing is going back to Dark Bramble and following the distress signal to try and find the vessel. But we're not doing any of that right now. What we're doing right now is ending the stream because I'm way over time. Thank you all for coming and hanging out and staying overtime. I am going to speedily get through our outro. Be sure to check out our full schedule at schedule.truck.community. I'll be back here on Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern with more of this. And hopefully we'll find the vessel, which maybe will get us to the quantum moon or that, and maybe that will get us to the eye of the universe, and who knows. But for now, we're going to pass things along to twitch.tv/squirrelily, where Stranger and September were playing 7 Days to End with You, a very wonderful game about waking up with someone who doesn't speak the same language and trying to figure out the best ways to bridge that particular gap when you have very little to work with. A wonderful little puzzle game on that note that I highly recommend. So, hang out, and if that sounds like your jam, then the raid will pass you their way here in just a moment. Yeah, that's that on that. Thank you all so much. Have a wonderful week, and I will hope to see you next time. Good night.